Alka, Sehgal, Cuthbert is with Don't Divide Us. What, in a snappy sentence, is Don't Divide Us all about? Good morning to you.
Good morning, Nick. So Don't Divide Us is a grassroots organisation that wants to make sure the common sense voice on race is heard in public discourse. And that includes pushing back against the idea that Britain's systematically racist, that white people have privilege, no matter, just by being white, and that brown people or black people, myself included, need you to get out of the ways for us to succeed. We just but don't believe that any of those assertions are true.
As you've referenced the colour of your skin, and only for that reason, might I ask, and you don't have to answer, might I ask your lineage?
Of course you can. I will not consider it a microaggression. I'm Indian.
You're Indian, okay. When you
Well,
hear...
Indian, but a British
I'm
citizen, sorry.
so sorry. Sorry.
Indian, but a British citizen.
Indian but a British. Okay, super. Thank you so much. When you hear a professor from Durham University say racism is in the education system and actions such as this at Muswell Hill seek to address it, how do you respond? May I call you Alka? Is that all right, or do you prefer Mrs.
Yes,
Cuthbert?
of course.
Yeah.
No, Alka's fine.
Alka, how do you respond to that?
Well, my response is I know I've come from academia and I know that this is a huge interest of theirs. They're studying, they see everything. There are small departments within academia, particularly education departments, who see race as the primary lens for seeing everything. What I would say is that it shows a complete ignorance of both education and also humanity and child development, because imagination, the ability to think, imagine, feel, act ethically don't belong to any particular colour. So if any child is struggling at school, whatever their colour or religion, what they need is better teaching, or they need teachers, who have the freedom and the experience and the expertise to try out different ways so that the children can connect with the material. And the material should be good educational material, not anti-racist material.
Most recent work has shown that it is white pupils now who are failing, not just in primary, but in secondary schools as well. Years ago, it was very much a different position, and quite rightly, a lot of funds and effort was put in, time was put in, and we reversed that position, particularly in secondary schools for black pupils. Is it now not perhaps time to say, actually, it's the white kiddies who need a bit of a helping hand, Alka?
Well, look, I can see why people would think that. Personally, I prefer to make a universal argument, which is that I think actually all children deserve a better education, because it's been problems that have existed in schools for a long time before the Black Lives Matter moment that have actually opened the doors to these very partisan ideologues that we look at in our report to come into schools and basically change the whole ethos of schools, so they're moving away from educating pupils, and instead they want to make pupils in their own image, their own political image. That is indoctrination. That's not education.
Lastly, if a school, primary or secondary, decides that it wants to offer the opportunity for pupils to avail themselves of extra tuition, how should the decision be made as to what children it would be open to?
Well, by their needs, by their educational needs. It's as simple as that. If they're struggling in reading or writing or in maths or whatever subject, then that should be the criteria.
But in this instance, of course, it's done purely by background.
Well, that's right. So in that sense, schools are doing a very, very harmful thing, maybe inadvertently, but they're tacitly approving the idea that, we cultivate our racial identities, and that is very, very divisive.
Grateful for your time today. Thank you. Alka, Sehgal, Cuthbert is with Don't Divide Us, the campaign group. She referenced right at the top exactly what it is that they're trying to achieve.